Hello and welcome to another mini-cast where we usually talk about a single game and recall some of our memories with it. Today we're going to be talking about Formula D, and with me to talk about this are...
Daryl D.
Ian,
Okay,
Daryl,
cool.
and Ian.
Yeah,
Oh,
cool. So, Formula D is a race game. This one's actually kind of like you'd expect it to be. It's about rolling dice and getting around the track as quickly as possible. However, taking the time to stop a number of times on every single turn, otherwise you could possibly crash out or take damage. Okay, really, that's the basics of the game. What makes it good? I think the gear system.
Yeah, I was about to say
That's-
it's
yeah.
super specific, but the way the gears work. So, like, as you go up to higher gears, you have a higher minimum distance that you can travel, and that could cause
Yep.
you to spin out and things like that. It's a well worked system. It has good. The dice have been worked in such a way that it really feels like you're changing up and down gears. Like low gears, you're not going very far, but you're driving safely. And if you've got a high gear and you're turning around a corner, there's a really big possibility you're going to come screeching off and spinning off that corner.
Yeah, I mean, every gear has an associated dice, and every single dice is a custom dice. None of them are a simple 1 to whatever number. The higher numbers tend to leave off, say, between 1 and whatever number, depending on what gear you've chosen, and will just be up in the high numbers, so you can blitz around the track. But every corner actually has a little box by it that actually says a number of stops that you have to do on the corner. Most of them say 1. You occasionally get some that say 2, and very rarely you get ones which say 3. So, in other words, you want to be going fast down the straights and slowing down when you're hitting the corners. You can only move down one gear at a time without penalty. You can take voluntary damage in order to move down yet another gear, but at that point you kind of have to stop. You can't skip gears when moving up, so if you're down in a low gear, you can't go straight into the highest gear. So you have to somewhat play the probability game with this one. That's really what this game boils down to. You are assessing the chances of you overshooting a corner and crashing, and you try to get yourself an appropriate dice in order to help you around that corner. That really seems like the basics of the game, I would say.
yeah, it's
Obviously,
so-
you can malfunction if you change gears in the wrong way, can't you?
Yes, you can.
yeah. So you start
The
getting
idea
punishments, don't you?
is-
To your
Yeah, so if you... Let's say you're required to do 3 stops on a corner and you've only done 1, you will automatically crash out. If you were supposed to take 2 stops and you've only taken 1, you then take damage based on how far past the corner you've gone. So in other words, where it marks on the map where the corner has ended, if you've moved 1, 2, 3 spaces further than that, it means you take 3 damage on your car. It's as simple as that. You can also take damage by stopping your car next to another car. So on your turn, if you land next to another car, you have to roll the danger dice, which is the black dice, and if it hits a certain number, you take damage. Both you roll for it as the car that's stopping next to another car, and the other person rolls the dice as well. So
it's an
We-
interesting thing, isn't it? With the kind of slamming into people tactic.
yes. So the only time you ever get to try and fix some of that damage is only if you're playing a 2-lap race. In standard rules for the game, it's either you're just doing 1 lap and that's it, or you do 2 laps. I imagine if you go into 3 laps, if you're willing to put that much time into the game, that's nothing to stop you. But if you are playing a 2-lap game, there is a pit stop that you can stop in. However, it does bring your car to a complete halt and gives other people that don't necessarily need the pit stop a chance to zoom past. But you do get you do get healed up to your full amount of hit points. So again, it's a nice little system where when you come to the end of lap 1, you have the choice of, well, am I happy to keep going and maintain my whatever lead I might have, or to try and stay in line with the people that are out in front, or am I going to stop, get my car fixed, and hope that someone else is going to crash out, like everyone else who's decided not to take a pit stop is just going to crash out before the end of the race, leaving you to make your way over the line at a slower pace.
I mean, personally,
Yep.
I prefer the option where you go balls to the wall and really make everyone's day more difficult.
Yeah. See, this is right. So I can remember not that long ago I played it, and there's a really interesting. So I'm not sure if we've played it before with this kind of mechanic, but it's the part where you actually roll off to see if you start or stall.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
we
yeah.
normally do, don't we?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
we do.
can't remember because it's been a little while, but basically we're sat around this table, right? We're at like a sort of some sort of games cafe in Southampton, and I roll the dice, and as I roll the dice, I hit the table. The table kind of sort of bounces it in the air. It lands in a small beaker of milk, right? To which point the owner comes in and went, "Never seen anyone do that in their life." Right? So at this point,
Monster.
At this point, everyone's looking at me like, do you know what? This is why we don't.
Drink the milk.
This is why we don't invite you to things. And I was
Drink
like,
the
oh no, I can't drink the milk. People were sharing it and using it, so
No,
it gets.
you drink the milk and see what the score is. That's what you have to do.
No. We just assumed that I stalled horribly. So yeah,
I think
Yeah.
you should have drunk the milk.
I'm not going to drink the milk, man. It's like people are sharing that milk. I can't go, yeah, sorry, buddy, I'm going to drink the milk. Drink the milk, drink the milk. Oh, it's a 4. I stall anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so when you start, there's actually 3 outcomes to it. You can either critically fail and stall your car, you can just engage normally and roll in first gear and start as normal, or you can roll a critical success, which I think allows you to go straight up into second gear and shoot on, basically. So essentially that's how starting works. The rest of it, you're judging what gear you should be in, rolling the dice, trying to make sure you go around corners. Like I say, the corners where you have to only stop once, we tend to find most people take their chances with those and try and speed round, because worst case scenario, you just take damage out the other side. It's when you start getting 2 and 3 stops in a corner where you have to start being really careful about it, because there's the chance you could just automatically wipe yourself out the race, which means there's always a threat there. And, you know, the person who's gone out in front could well crash out in an instant, really. There are advanced rules to the game where each individual part of your car can take damage, and allows you to play a little more strategically in terms of taking damage to one part to save yourself damage on another part. We tend to find that takes a little bit of the fun out of the game. We prefer just to play it with the basic rules.
It
think
gets
it's just-
too tactical, doesn't it? Like you start going, oh, I'm going to put it into here and spread the damage across here so I can get through to the end. When realistically, what you should be doing is, am I going to die?
Yeah, I
That's
think
a
that's
yes
the
or
fun
no
of it as
answer.
well. Yeah, that's certainly far more fun. There is, however, on the advanced rules, you can select a driver that all has individual powers to help them around the track as well. They're quite neat, and we have tried it before, and what worked kind of well is taking some of the rules from the advanced play and putting into the basic rules. That actually does work quite well. I don't think it's where you should be playing, but, you know, it's our game. We're not playing it super competitively.
No.
We'll do what we want.
We do what we want. Do you know what? If we want to ram all of the the other cars off the thing like a destruction derby, we're gonna.
And we do.
It's-
Relatively
We do.
frequently.
All the time.
It's worth saying that there, in the core box that you do get 2 tracks. There is a reversible side to the... I think it's based on the Monaco racetrack, I think, the one that you get in the box. And then you flip to the other side, it's got quite a generic kind of thing, with a couple of traps on as well. You're only meant to play the reverse map on the advanced rules, I believe. That's why we don't play it very often. But there are tons of maps available for this game. Loads of expansions. We don't have any of them. We just kind of like the base game as it is. And do you know what? I don't think we've really tired of it.
No, it's a game that
think.
it doesn't matter if it's just the one map, because it's more about who you're playing with and the way they're kind of using their dice rolls, or how they're sort of working out whether they can go into that. It's a nice game because it's one of those games where you'll roll a dice and then someone will count all of the spaces, and what lane they can go into might affect how long it will take them, or they can stop, because a lot of the curves and bends will have like certain amounts of stops required in them, so you have to stop like once in a certain turn, which if you don't do it right, it can really cost you later on. Because a lot of people try and save up their points, don't they, for the last turn, and just roll in the highest gear possible to try and smash through the end. So it's nice to sort of, there's a lot of interaction, especially with people that I found anyway. Even if you're not necessarily winning, there's still people that will go, I'll tell you what, if you take that lower end of the track, you'll only be able to do it in 6 turns rather than the like the ones you'll need kind of thing, so you better do it better.
Yeah.
I love the fact that there's this level of, even though you're winning or losing or whatever, there's still people going, just tell you what, you can do it if you do this way. It's nice that's the
Everybody's trying to work out the maths at the same time.
Which is really, really nice,
exactly.
considering it's a game about essentially being one winner, or at least 3 at least. And it's nice that there's that kind of level of people jumping in and going, tell you what, if you take the outside lane for the first 6, then bank in once on that one, and then finish there, you'll stop dead in the centre, and it'll count for your one stop, and you're like, oh yeah, thank you. Which is nice.
It's interesting because lane selection actually does play a big part in the game as well.
100%, yeah.
So a lot of the time you'll always want to be on the inside lane, because turn order always changes from turn to turn. It's always the player that's out in front that always gets the first turn. If you are neck and neck with someone, it's always the person that's got the inside lane that will always get the first turn. And it is advantageous to always be the first person that's going on the turn. You cannot snake your car, so you can't move them left then right then left then right on the way down the track. As soon as you've started moving left, you can only move left into another lane on that turn. When you move into a corner, however, you can actually snake, but you're very much guided by arrows that are...
Yeah, it tells you what
the...
direction you're allowed to go, doesn't it?
It does, yes. So you are somewhat locked into it, so you do carefully want to plan which lane you want to enter a corner in, because it very much also affects the minimum and maximum distance that you can actually take in that route. Luckily, that's actually printed on the board, so every time you go into a corner, it actually tells you there's a minimum and a maximum amount of moves that you can get out of each corner. So again, like I said, there is a lot of maths in this game, not just in terms of probability as well, but in terms of actually working out which dice and which roll is going to allow you to get through that corner in the maximum amount of turns. So there's a lot of addition, there's a lot of subtraction and stuff like that as well. It's not just all probability. There are also little markers on the road as well that give you a rough idea of how far you'd be moving down the track as well. It does it kind of like intermittent points.
Oh, intermittent. It's so difficult.
Intermittent.
Yeah,
It's so difficult, that word.
I was struggling
it?
with it.
Yeah, it is.
Intermittent.
Intermittent.
It's easy to get it wrong if you're
Yeah,
talking quickly,
100%.
I think.
100%.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
But yeah. Let's see. Do you guys have any particular memories from playing this game? Because I think we've pretty much covered the rules at this point.
The milk one for me.
I remember playing once, and everybody was playing really aggressively.
Oh yeah!
And everyone was like flying off the track and stuff. And I decided to play the game. I decided to RP a particular driver who was like, I can't even remember what we called him, but like he was really careful.
Did you
Yeah,
basically just go super slow and make every
Yes,
single turn
I
perfectly?
played what my dad would do were he driving, like a super careful driver. And I was just like taking everything super carefully. I don't think I ever went into the top gear. I think I might have done once on one straight and then dropped straight back down.
Yeah.
And everyone else was like blitzing through corners and stuff like that. And there was a story going on about like my wife was cheating on me, and like with the guy that was like blitzing around the track really quickly, and I kind of wanted him to come off the track. And then about when we were getting towards the end, I'd sort of caught up to everyone somehow. I think people had like got damaged and dropped down gears just in case. And I managed to catch up. And then I realised whoever finished the race before was going to get my wife. so I sped up like ridiculously, and like, I came like one space behind. I think I did come like second or something, and I think a couple of people did just die.
Yeah. I think the thing I always remember from one of the games we played, I've forgotten who was actually there that night. I remember who did this to me, though. We'd literally gotten to right at the end of the race, and again, I think generally whenever we play this game, we always play aggressively, because it's just more fun that way. And it was literally getting round to the last couple of corners. Everyone had crashed out apart from me and Matt. Everyone had gotten wiped out. And it kind of got to the last turn, and I'd won the game. I basically just needed to roll in my next turn and cross that finish line. And I remember everyone around the table going, Matt, crash out deliberately. Don't give him the satisfaction of crossing that line. And sure enough, he did it. He just rolled completely stupidly, just crashed out on the corner, at which point the game ends. And yes, I still won, but not by crossing over the finish line, despite the fact I would have made it over in the next turn. Again, I love that story. And I clearly remember that was Matt as well that did that to me.
It's a perfect example of how your game group works.
It really is. It really is. Daryl, do you have anything you particularly remember from playing this?
To be fair, I was going to say the milk one cracked me up, but actually now I think about it, that was really funny where Ian had this like weird role play. I remember him just driving so incredibly goddamn
slowly catchy monkey, I think.
Yeah, something stupid like that, and it was just like, oh my god, he's like, carefully into third gear around the third corner, and you're like,
oh this is a little bit too exciting, drop down to second.
And it's just like
that night.
Yeah, me,
it's quite a big group, actually.
Sean, Matt, Pete.
Yeah, I seem to remember it being a big
Mike?
group.
Yeah, possibly Mike, yeah. I think it was a very big group and everyone was just laughing. It was so funny. But yeah, I would say that and the milk one for me are both hand in hand. Like, they're just so stupid.
Honestly, I tend to find it's not just a thing with Formula D. I find most race games are better with larger groups of players.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys find that.
Yeah, I mean, the one I played with, the milk one, they played with... I can't remember if it was an expansion or not, but basically there was loads of us. So it was a huge game, and it was that kind of thing where it was just so hectic, but at the same time really enjoyable because, like, don't get me wrong, like, you could play it with two people, and it would be fun still, but it would be just a case of, you know, whereas having all these other people that you're trying to avoid on corners and crashing into people and bumping them and trying to avoid them as they come out the corner, it's just great fun. It's a bit chaotic, but it's great fun.
I think
I disagree with you on one thing, sorry. I would not play Formula D with at least 4 people. And I would say even then, I would rather have more people playing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying you can play it, but it wouldn't be... It wouldn't be great.
I probably wouldn't play it with 2.
I think part of the joy is when you've got like 8 people playing. Like 3 people tend to get out in front, and they're like vying with each other, and then there's like a block of 2 behind them, and they're competing with each other directly, and then the rest of everyone competing, and it becomes separate groups trying to beat each other for dominance.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun, is that it becomes, rather than who's going to win the race, it comes individual challenges against each other to try and get out of their little group and into the group above.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly find these like carnage and chaos in these games always make them far more fun. I would say this isn't really a story as much as it's something that happens in almost every single game of Formula D. That's always amazing, and it's always when someone gets down to their last couple of bits of health and everyone starts trying to deliberately crash into them because they just want to see them off the track.
Yeah.
Happens every single game, and it just makes it more fun. In terms of negatives about this game, I think I've already mentioned everything. I think it doesn't play very well with fewer people. I personally would say I would only play this with at least 4 people. I would prefer it with 6, say. I think the other negative was just very briefly kind of touched on just then, and I don't even think it's a very big negative, and that is player elimination. It is very possible to crash out of this game very early and having to watch. However,
I would say that's
the
your
reason
fault.
I say, yeah, but I would also say that's not necessarily much of a negative, because I would also say that this game is one of those games where it's so entertaining to watch everyone else sweat that usually you're fine with it. I would say.
Yeah, I would also say if you're crashing out, you've played it in a way that makes you crash out.
Yeah, of course.
Like there's a way of playing the game where you don't crash out.
Yeah,
But I don't. Yeah, it's if you're crashing out, it's because you've played aggressively, and yes, that's really fun. But you shouldn't hold it against the game when you're playing with fate like that. You know what's going to happen.
yeah. I will also say, whilst we're talking about some of the drawbacks to this game, I do know people that hate this game. I think as well, I think the reason that's given is because it's a very mathy game, it's a very numbers game. It can very much hurt your head whilst you're kind of trying to figure everything out, and you do find there's a lot of people that play this game that are there counting out the numbers on the track, trying to work out how they're going, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You do have a lot of that, and I know, I don't mind naming them. I know John in particular really does not enjoy this game because, and I think a lot of it is because of that mathy aspect of it. It's very much a numbers game, this one, but personally, I don't have that problem.
No.
No, I don't either.
I find any frustrations with maths problems and things in this game are completely crossed through by the sheer amount of chaos that usually happens in the game and the amount of entertainment that actually comes from it. Not everyone's going to find that, though, you know. Yeah. On that,
Bombshell.
I think we usually mention a couple of alternatives, which actually we've already mentioned on the other video, which you can find, if you haven't seen it already, on El Dorado, the quest for El Dorado. It was the previous minicast before this. We talk about Formula D a little in that. We also talk a little bit about Flamme Rouge, which is another game which I would really recommend if you've played and enjoyed Formula D. And the video that should have been out on Saturday as well, Fast Slofs, is another race game that I would really recommend. Is there anything else you guys would like to add?
No, I think.
No, I would say it's definitely a good game to sort of check out at some point.
Yeah.
Cool. Again, I think this is, as per usual, 3 recommendations.
3 thumbs.
Yes.
Nice. So on that, if you have enjoyed watching this video and want to follow us on social medias, you can do at Everybody Dice on Twitter and on at Everybody Dice Show on Instagram. We also have a Facebook page you can find at facebook.com/everybodydice. And if you want to find more of our stuff, you can find it at everybodydice.com. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and perhaps you'd like to check out one of the videos that should be on screen here about now. Until next time, guys, bye!
Goodbye.
Bye.